Ruskin, if I may, many, many happy returns of the day. I hope you have a great time. I just want to share that how much you have inspired me. I remember the day when we came to Missouri, Tiger and I, and you regaled us with so many stories from your illustrious past. We were shooting a film called Dusri Dulhan there, and we spent quite a few days there, and we met you a couple of times. I don't know whether you remember or not. And I absolutely adore your books. Your book, the famous book, Room on the Roof, it was just fascinating. It really, really moved me. And your words from the hills, your words from my window, they were absolutely fascinating. It invites you to look at nature, appreciate it, absorb it, and see all the gifts that nature gives us. No childhood is complete without reading your books. And as you say, the parents must see that they not just hear the stories, but they must read those books, because you've always believed in inculcating the habit of reading. So Ruskin, your contribution is just immense and wonderful and hugely appreciated, and I hope you have a wonderful birthday and live on for many years and continue to give us fantastic books and make us happy and make us smile.
Several years ago, Ruskin Bond was in Bangalore and we had met for dinner. After dinner was over, we were walking towards the lift and we had to walk past what was called a club or a disco in those years. And as we walked past, this was a place filled with, very young people. And I could hear this whisper reverberating through the corridor, as the people were waiting to get in. And they kept saying, Ruskin Bond, it's Ruskin Bond, look at him, it's Ruskin Bond. And for the first time, I realized that writers could be rock stars too. And so Ruskin Bond, after 7 decades of having created so many magnificent books, is celebrating his 86th birthday. And I would like to wish you, Ruskin, a very, very happy birthday. And I hope there will be 100 more books emerging from your pen.
I've grown up on your books. You've inspired me, thrilled me, motivated me. So this is really an honor and a pleasure that I'm being able to send you good wishes and my warmth and my respects. I also have another admirer here of your writings who's also grown up on your books, so 2 generations, as you can see. And I don't know if you remember, but you very kindly gave a book for Vihan and you had signed it, so it's quite a precious gift that he keeps with himself. And so thank you again, and wishing you many more years of great writing, peace and joy.
Mr. Ruskin Bond, a very, very happy birthday to you from someone who, along with the whole country, is a huge fan. You've inspired me to become a writer because you showed that it was possible. Thank you for that. I actually have a lovely little story to tell. I had just recently lost my mother, and I was sitting one day really missing her, unable to settle down to doing anything. I had been sent the manuscript of Lone Fox Dancing, your biography, and so I was reading the manuscript over. And suddenly, guess what? There was my mother in your story, because my mother, Sarojini Khanna, had been your teacher, and you, in your book, in your autobiography, have written about how she, Miss Khanna, chased you around trying to get your hair brushed, chased you around with a hairbrush in hand, trying to get your wild, obstinate hair to lie down. I don't know if I have the time, but there's also another very funny story that you narrated to me about how she had written, or rather, you had done a play with your class where you were a sort of mass murderer and had taken great pleasure in stabbing your classmates during the play. She asked you to do something a little maybe less bloody, and she then for an annual play was going to do Humpty Dumpty. Guess who was Humpty Dumpty except Ruskin Bond? Who else? And the funny story is that she had dressed you into this costume of the Humpty Dumpty costume, and you were to sit on a wall, and when you fell off, that costume was supposed to break apart. And when on the actual show you fell off the wall, it didn't break. And so there was Ruskin Bond rolling around in the Humpty Dumpty costume. And the guys who had been victims of the mass murder in the previous play took great pleasure in trying to break that costume open. So, wonderful stories. Your life is such an inspiration to all of us, children and adults and writers. Thank you for showing us the way. Thank you for being who you are. Wish you another 70 years of writing. We could do with so much more of you. Very happy birthday to you, sir.
Hello Ruskin Saab, many happy returns of the day.
Hi Ruskin, happy birthday.
हम मसूरी को मिस कर रहे हैं, लैंडोर को मिस कर रहे हैं और सबसे ज़्यादा आपको मिस कर रहे हैं.
We are so fortunate to have you in our life and such a nice feeling to boast about you being our neighbor in Mussoorie.
जैसे लॉकडाउन खुल जाएगा हम लोग मसूरी आएंगे और आपके साथ एक ड्रिंक लेंगे एंड विल से हैप्पी बर्थडे टू यू.
Cheers.
The works of Ruskin Bond are very near and dear to my heart. His compilation of short stories, Our Trees Still Grow in Dehra, was a part of our ICSE English literature syllabus in the 9th and 10th standard, an age where you start to explore literature in a slightly more thorough capacity. Bond's short stories always deeply affected me. In particular, his endings, the way he would end his short stories. He was the master of the ambiguous ending. One can think at once of the ending of Escape from Java, which borders almost on the mystical, a really moving sort of paean to parental separation. I think any child who reads that story studying in boarding school away from his parents is deeply affected by that piece. And also the ending of The Last Tonga Ride, in which the narrator places a wish by blowing off an eyelash from the window of a train compartment, and his adult guardian, his uncle or aunt, an elderly figure, asks him doesn't ask him what he wished for, and he doesn't answer. His works also belong to different dramatic traditions, different literary traditions, from the tradition of someone like Henry James, the Gothic. I think he was one of the few Indian authors to really plunge wholeheartedly into the Gothic, into the uncanny. There's a story of his which I have still been unable to place, which dealt with a certain Anglo-Indian elderly lady who suffers from delirium tremens. That story has always haunted me since I was a child, and I've never been able to find what that story was, but the impressions, the vivid effect that story had on me, I live over and over, time and time again. Ruskin Bond's stories to me are really some of the most important works of Indian literature. A word also on Mr. Bond's relationship with the cinema. I think along with William Shakespeare, Mr. Bond is probably Mr. Vishal Bhardwaj's most important artistic collaborator, sort of artistic companion. There is an artistic sort of kinship between the two of them. They both have a fascination for the macabre, and just as I had called Mr. Bond India's Henry James or Edgar Allan Poe, Mr. Bond himself named Mr. Bhardwaj India's Hitchcock. In a preface to, was it The Blue Umbrella or the source material to Makdi, but they've had a phenomenal sort of artistic collaboration together. I was fortunate enough to have spent a great many days with Mr. Bond, attired in clerical garb, on the sets of Saat Khoon Maaf. He was playing the bishop that appears at the end of the film. And I also had a Doon School connection with him. Since Mr. Bond resides in Missouri, he used to come and speak at the Doon School quite often when I was a student there. Mr. Bond is someone that has really influenced me in myriad ways over the course of my life. His writing is some of the most vivid and beautiful that I have, writing prose that I have ever encountered. It still moves me tremendously just to think of it. That one of my father's first films was also an adaptation of Mr. Bond's novella A Flight of the Pigeons. It was adapted by Shyam Benegal into the 1977 film Junoon. Here's to you, Mr. Bond. You're one of the greatest.